Hi, I'm Phil Tice.
And I am Joseph Ponzio.
And welcome to Critics Corner. So me and Joe just came back from Tribeca Film Festival in New York City yesterday.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop, indeed.
This was our last film festival going with the school for AV Club.
This actually was my first. I had not gone before, I had never been to a major film festival. I know this was Joe's, fourth?
This is my fourth in a row.
You did fourth in a row. He was one of the three, I think.
Yeah, me, Matthew Getz, and Jacob Beckerman have been going on these field trips since freshman year, which we started with the movie Take This Waltz with Seth Rogen and
Sarah Silverman. Yeah. How was that? I never saw that.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's indie.
I hear there's full frontal.
There's just full frontal. There's a whole shower scene with just old naked ladies. That was the thing. Seth Rogen kind of saved it, but
okay, he's not the worst.
It's just one of those movies that Seth Rogen, you just kind of forget.
Yeah, I feel like every movie Seth Rogen's made. Anyway.
Yeah.
What else do you guys watch your next year?
In our sophomore year, we went to go see an anthology of shorts, where it was pretty across the board. The theme was the end of the world, where it was or the end of, I guess, anything, because there was the final film, which is interesting, called Epilogue, where it was about the end of an action movie, where it shows the protagonist, the big action hero, and his damsel basically leaving the action scene and seeing what they do after that.
Okay.
Hilarity ensues, basically.
That's fun. All right. And then you guys watched About Alex last year,
which was probably my favorite of the.
I hear it was incredibly depressing.
It begins with a attempted suicide.
Oh, great! Always a good way to start.
Which has been a running theme in my recent movies, Royal Tenenbaums, Wrist Cutters, where it always ends.
Wrist Cutters is great.
Which always involves a scene of a guy cutting his wrist trying to kill himself. So I guess it's my thing technically.
I guess that's your thing. Please do not.
Yeah, I'm good, guys.
Art.
Good.
Thank you. All right. And so now this year we came and we watched a documentary called Dream Killer, which is about. It was about this guy named Ryan Ferguson who lived in Columbus, Missouri. Something along those lines. Anyway, and it involves the death of a local newspaper sports writer who is murdered in the parking lot of the newspaper building in 2001, and then this guy Ryan's friend Chuck Erickson comes to the police later, saying he started remembering portions of the night because I think he said he was drinking heavily, he was on drugs. And he pointed that him and Ryan had killed this guy. But the thing is, his testimony was really the only evidence the prosecution had for the initial case. But they went to court anyway, charging Ryan Ferguson with first-degree murder
and robbery.
Prosecutor Kevin Crane.
This guy's become
he's a judge now. He's a Missouri Circuit judge.
He still has a job to this day.
It's ridiculous.
It befuddles me.
He went into court with all these witness testimonies, and he ends up getting Ryan convicted
for murder
in the second degree. He did not get first
30 years in prison for that, and
robbery another 10 years. So he's 40 years in prison, and the documentary mostly follows Bill Ferguson, Ryan's father, who, by the way, is strikingly similar to my grandfather. He is a spitting image. It's weird.
I gotta meet that guy one day.
Yeah, no, he's a champion. I love him. Anyway, Bill Ferguson, as he spends the 10 years that his son is in prison trying to get him out, he gathers information himself. I think he walked the crime scene almost every night. He gave tours. Yeah. He was just raising awareness on this. And this guy, who is not an attorney, has never been an attorney.
He has no study in law.
He does a phenomenal job in getting this evidence, far better than the prosecution team that Ryan had.
This guy used to be a real estate agent.
He was a real estate agent.
He was. He dropped his job basically for a while to basically
go off and do this. It's fantastic, the stuff this guy's done. And he does all this work, and what he ends up finding out through the interrogation tapes and he talks to the witnesses that were on the stand, is this guy, Crane, intimidated the witnesses into saying what he wanted them to say. He forced them to leave out information that would have exonerated Ferguson. And then also, the one guy, Chuck, who could not remember, he spoon-fed this guy information that they already knew and that he wanted him to know. And because this guy was scared and he couldn't remember what he saw or what had happened, he just accepted it as fact, and that drove him to lie, kind of unintentionally, really, about his friend killing this guy.
They basically just told him, hey, you gotta give up another one of your friends, or else you're gonna get life.
Well, what he told me, he's gonna get life because he told Chuck, that Ryan was making a deal with the DA, and unless Chuck could make a deal first, which was not the case. Ryan had not brought up making a deal. He had not. He never claimed to be guilty. He always professed his innocence. And they get this lady, Kathleen Zellner.
Kathleen Zellner.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
So basically, in Bill Ferguson's expedition to free his son from prison, during the years he ran into a lawyer named Kathleen Zellner, basically one of the best lawyers in the country.
She's like a celebrity lawyer, I think, something like that.
The best one he could get his hands on. And he basically had her help him in cases to get Ryan out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
They combed through a lot of evidence. A lot of the justice system. They said that
the justice system's totally.
Yeah, they didn't want to help him at all.
The big thing about the justice system that this movie's trying to portray is it comes across very much that it's a lot more about face value than it is about actual results in a lot of these cases, because you have this guy who he was put away wrongly, and when they're trying to work to get appeals, trying to work to introduce new evidence, trying to get this guy out, it's incredibly difficult. They have the state trying to stop them at every turn, and a lot of it is because they're trying to save Judge Crane, who became a judge at that point. He had gone from being a prosecutor and now he was a judge, because the justice system does not want to put guilt on their own people, I don't think, especially someone who's in such a high position. So a lot of it was saving, for lack of a better word, was saving Kevin Crane's ass on this. And I mean, they were successful, considering Crane was never no criminal convictions or criminal accusations were brought against him by the state. And he still is a judge, which is
much of that blew my mind.
It's baffling. It really is.
Like how they even said that they had to make basically like this 100-page document just filled with evidence, because at every turn they will try their hardest to deviate whatever evidence they had.
Yep, they were trying to eliminate.
Humanly possible.
They would try and get rid of every piece of evidence if it just wasn't on point. So they had to go into an incredible amount of detail. And so they get all the way. They have to take this all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court, where it finally is overturned and this guy's released after 10 years in county prison. And I mean, he's released into a world that he doesn't know. And he was put away when he was 17. He's released
19.
You're right.
Yeah,
he committed the crime when he was 17. He gets out when he's 19, or he gets out when he's 29. He was in when he was 19. So he's lived his entire adult life in prison.
Yeah, those are the most structural years of his life. They just wrongfully threw him in there. And
I mean,
in a place where he even said when the day he got released, another man was stabbed to death. So
no, not even. He wasn't stabbed to death. The day I remember this, Miss Zellner came to him, the attorney. She was talking to him. It was like 3 months before he was released or something like that. And a man had just been stomped to death.
Jesus Christ.
Repeatedly stomped until he was killed. This is the thing that happens. He talks about how he's in prison and he can hear like the squeaking of shoes at night as people are fighting and raping each other. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, he just says he stays up. He hears metal doors clanging. He hears the never-ending buzz of just the lights that won't turn
yeah,
off.
and the thing is, with the fighting and like the violence, he makes the point. He's like, and no one is gonna press the button that'll bring the warden to stop it. It just happens, and I think that's insane.
It's so lawless in there. You just like. I used to watch all these things where it's like the Scared Straight programs they put on TV of like they bring like delinquent kids into like prisons and show them how it's like. I never got like I was never really scared by those until I saw this when it's like
It's nuts. No,
it's
because
just so lawless.
they show you in those kind of programs. They show you even then a really watered down version. And I mean, I'm sure some prisons are better than others. I'm not putting judgment on the entire system as a whole because I'm not, and I'm also not saying like the wardens there don't do their job. I am not in a position to comment.
It's just a matter of their society within the inmates. Where
Yes,
it's no one wants to be that guy who.
It's incredibly destructive to someone that as young as Ryan was.
Yeah, he's thrown into this world
And
that
with
he's so
as little
unfamiliar
experience. So when he comes back out, he doesn't know what to do. He felt very much as an outsider, even though he wasn't guilty of anything anymore. And I mean, I think he ended up moving to Florida.
Yeah, it's basically just start over.
That's good. He can keep doing that. I was really afraid right at the end because what me and Joe didn't realize that the family was actually in the crowd for the festival.
Yeah, that was
which was great. They went up for Q&A afterwards. I did not realize Ryan was there, so I was kind of afraid that we were gonna have
like at the epilogue, just something about like.
Yeah, like you know, if any of you have seen Shawshank, if you haven't, this is kind of spoilers, so cover your ears or whatever you do. Red from the old man who's released from prison after, you know, whatever, 40, 50 years or however long he's in there. He goes outside and everything's moving too fast for him. He doesn't know what to do, so he hangs himself.
It's the whole get busy living.
Yeah, he can't catch back up with the world. So what I was very afraid of when they were showing us, like right at the end, you know, when someone will have like a black screen and just text telling you what happened to everybody, I was like, oh no, he's gonna have killed himself. Like that's not good.
Because like the final ending scene was so depressing.
It was.
In a grocery store just alone.
It's him in a grocery store just not knowing what to do with himself. And thankfully that's not the case. And it seems like, how long do you think? 2-3 years at this point he's been out.
I thought he was put in prison in like 2006. For like 9 years, I'd say like he just got out this year, I think.
He really? That's a good turnaround time for the film, at least.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's commendable. The film to have edited in that long. I don't know how long he's been out, but he looks like he's doing.
Oh no, it said he was like during that scene in the grocery store. He was out of prison for about 5 months at the time.
I thought that turnaround was nice. That he, you know, wasn't dead. And
I find it crazy that like he had like, I think in the beginning he said that he really didn't have an idea of what he was going to do as a career.
Yeah, no, he
like,
didn't.
He was good at basketball. Like that was actually the thing that came up. The only way he really managed to survive in prison was to get the respect. By the
that was
other
interesting.
Inmates.
He got the respect of the other inmates by playing basketball because he had done basketball for a long time with his father before then.
And he's been playing like actual. Like set up games, not just like free games in the middle of like the court.
So it was funny. Like he's like this white dude, this like scrawny white guy in the middle of prison, and he earns respect by being able to play basketball.
Yeah, but these big actual like killers, these big
they're like
aggressive guys.
All right.
They're like, yeah, I mean, I respect that. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy. That's
so weird.
Like if he didn't have that, he would have like. He would have been screwed.
I don't know where he would have gone from that point.
It's
and I would like to not think about where he would have gone from that point.
Yeah, I mean, me neither.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things, bringing away from let's go to like the festival presentation. They had a Q&A with the director Andrew Jenkins, right? No, Jenks.
Andrew Jenks. They had the father, Bill Ferguson.
He had the father, Bill, Ryan. They did not have Chuck there. They had Ryan's mother, and they had his sister.
Who kind of came up not that much in the story.
The sister did not really come up at all. She was older than he was.
Which I kind of wish they did like film a bit.
I wish they talked about her a little bit, but
because
I guess if she wasn't terribly essential to like how it moved.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. The mother was in there for a bit, and I don't know. Like she worked sort of. I mean,
she was like more of just being emotional support for
yeah,
him. Cause
I don't want to put any judgment on the mother because I'm sure this is a very stressful situation. But she did not. As far as the documentary portrays, she did not put in nearly as much work as
it seemed like it focused more on
as
like,
Bill did. I mean, Bill was amazing.
Dude, that is an amazing father.
He's really fantastic.
He's father of the year right there.
No, absolutely.
That blows my mind of how much like he changed his life in the past 10 years of just dropping his normal job in order to basically become like a Superman for this guy.
Yeah, but like the fact that he's like I could get this for like a while because when some people would be like, all right, well this. I'll try this, and like some people go 3 years.
Yeah,
something
like
that.
this
guy goes for 3 appeals, 2 of which fail, another court hearing, and his own private investigation. He does this for 10 years of his life, and what he had to be in his early 70s.
He's been
at this point. He was an older guy. He was not a younger father. He was an older guy. And like just the work he puts in, it's phenomenal, really.
It was such a during the scene when after finally they get that triumphant moment when they find out that Ryan was going to be released soon. When I got to be honest, when they were going to the prison to finally get him out, I talked to Moscow about this. We were both actually like tearing up. Like I had one team. Like this was such a like I was just thinking about like this guy's been ripped away from his family for so long. It's like the connection, like the finally re-meeting after all this time.
I thought it was fantastic. And I know I was actually in the theater and I was sitting next to Matt Getz, and every time they do like the new hearing results or whatever, I'd like look at Matt. And, like, it started out originally, we'd, like, look and be like, okay, like, that sucks. But, like, the farther we went on, and this talks to whoever, the people who made the film, the editor, the director, it really talks to how well it was put together that the farther it went on, like, you would hear in the theater, there was one point where the appeal gets turned down after Mrs. Zellner starts being in. This is the first appeal she's around for. And it's turned down, and the guy comes in and she's like, the judge like dropped the appeal, and the entire theater was you just hear a groan
like,
and like a sigh go over the theater. It's nuts.
It was so amazing to see like the audience the reactions to it.
It really drew you in. I think it was fantastic, and even I was sitting there. And when they got these people to like reverse their testimonies after having been intimidated by Crane and all this other stuff, I was seriously there. I was sitting there, and you can, if you want to ask Matt, although I don't know how you would, viewer, but I like punched the air. I was like, yeah, like that was awesome. I was so excited for that, and I think that really speaks to how well the film was put together, because I know it definitely really could have gotten slow with the subject matter and the amount of time it took, but I did like one bit he liked to do, whoever the editor was, he spliced in intermittently. He went for like a linear story. But he also, every so often, he would put in just details of Ryan's relationship with different people. So, like, he went into, and this was a little bit of a larger point, like, he went into talking about how him and his father played basketball. He talked about how Ryan's condition in prison, which was interesting. Like, he talked about how much he read and stuff like this. And it's stuff that...
We can keep going.
Yeah, we can keep going. It was stuff that wasn't really essential to the story. Like, it could have been cut out, but it wasn't. And I thought it added a little extra personality to it. And I thought it really it kind of broke it up in places where it could have been dull, but it kept it moving and kept it interesting. So I thought that was
one
good.
of the big scenes that really fascinated me was how they couldn't get a lot of footage of Ryan in the prison.
Yeah.
So they did a lot of these hand-drawn like scenes where he's depicting life in prison, like him in the court or him in his cell. He was depicting this. It was kind of like a lighthearted scene. It was him describing what a prison pizza was, where I was surprised of how much food they would let him use. Like,
yeah, really. No, I didn't know he
like,
had that much access to food. It was like ramen noodles, graham crackers, all this other stuff. Yeah, no, because what they would do, they didn't have visuals for him a lot. They only had his audio.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd take these. They would do like chalk sketch
Yeah, so like
animations,
hand-drawn,
which
like-
were really cool. I thought. Yeah, no, that's great. It looks like we've run out of time a little bit here, so we might.
We'll continue maybe
We might
part two,
append
because
a
I
little
have
more.
a lot more to say.
I
about this.
really do want to talk about this film and just like a little more about the festival in general. So this is part 1. We will be back tomorrow, and we're gonna sign off. So I'm Phil Tice,
And I'm Joseph Ponzio.
and we're signing off for Critics Corner. Thank you very much for listening.
See you guys.